A-pillars and roof rails can be really tough to work on. Here we've got a decent sized dent slap bang in the middle of this windscreen pillar. Now there's a lot of tension in the panel, there's crowns either side of the dent, and unfortunately it's also cracked the paint. But today I'm going to walk you through exactly how I repaired this dent with hot glue and a whole lot of tapping and blending. So stay tuned. Okay, so looking at the dent, we've got a slight crown here. You can just see it bulging out. And just very slightly on the edge here as well. Usually I would put a dolly here and tap that, which I may end up doing, but I'm very aware that the paint's broken and I'm trying not to make that worse. So a little bit of tapping around, softening the edges, pulling up the main low of the dent, and then no doubt a fair amount of blending to really give a nice tidy repair. So what I'm hoping to do here is pull some of the low from this side up. I don't mind working this way and finishing here. I don't really want to finish here because of that paint. So by lining this crease tab up right on the edge, hoping to be able to lift out some of the depth from here rather than here. So to start this repair, I'm going to be using my slide hammer. Now this one's from BLE Tools here in the UK and I love it. With the adjustable handle you can change the spring and the damper inside, and it basically gives you a variety of different pulls from this one particular hammer. Now I'm starting to get that metal moving and I'm trying to direct the damage away from that paint chip. So placing the crease tab on this edge has really helped shift the dent this way. So I'm chasing the dent now to the right as opposed to working this way and having to finish here. So I can now hopefully pretty much avoid hitting this area altogether. And that glass glue pull hit a tiny little high in the middle of my dent, which is not ideal, but it is just getting the metal moving. So now a little bit of softening up on this crown, feeding some of this metal this way to allow me to pull the more metal this way. To help me soften this crown, I'm going to be using this mushroom style soft tip on the end of one of my hammers. Now I'm looking to just tap around on that tension line where we looked at that crown, soften the metal, and that's going to make it easier for that low to be pulled out. And now I've got my slide hammer in my left hand and I am applying upwards pressure. That means in my left hand I am pulling that tab up, whilst in my right hand with my hammer I'm continuing to tap down those tension points. Using that sunlight a little bit like a fog lamp, you can see the tension here where it pinches together versus here. So still got a fair bit of tension locked up here. This side looking much cleaner. And looking with the lines, you can see some of the tension here. So still some tension I can release from this side. As well as here. And I've almost split the dent to a low, fit through the middle. Now of course A-pillars and roof rails are pretty tough to work on because they're very narrow strips of panel, usually with a slight curve in line with the profile of the vehicle. This means they are really full of tension already. So you get a dent in there and it creates a crown, it's going to be tougher to work on than the same dent on, for example, a flat panel. So I spend the majority of this repair tapping down with a variety of different hammer methods, blending and tap downs, versus how long I spent actually lifting the lows. But unless you can start to shift the metal in the high spots, so from this angle we can see those lines pinched together tightly before the windscreen, just here, that's what I need to tap down to enable me to be able to lift that low that's next to it. Without being able to identify and release the tension, it makes it nearly impossible to be able to bring out the lows. Now you often hear with PDR that there is a lot of back and forth, and it's never truer than with this dent. I was glue pulling, I was tapping, I was glue pulling, I was tapping. It really was a pull tap fight for a couple of hours to get the metal moving and start to get this panel looking straight again. Now here with my Robo lifter, I've got a small round tab. This is the Smooth series from Black Plague PDR. And if you watch closely, you can see me as I lift that trigger, you can see the center point of that tab stretching and pulling up the low. Now it starts to shift some of the metal, so each time I bring the low up a little bit, and when it starts to stop being able to be brought up, that's when I go back to the tapping and I have to tap down more tension to enable me to be able to lift out more of that low. Now as I say, I switched through a number of different techniques throughout this repair. So I started off tapping with the soft mushroom tip on my hammer, and I'm now using the cherry cap on that R4 tip and a tap down with my hammer to be a bit more precise in some of those tension points that I want to knock back. Now one of the most important things with assessing the damage is being able to do exactly that, assess the damage. So watch how many times I move my line board and how many times I reposition my head throughout this whole repair process in this video. Every angle shows you something new, and each time you move the metal, whether that be releasing some of the tension in the highs or lifting some of the lows, that reflection is going to change. So it's so important throughout the repair process to cross-check your repair work and continuously move your head and your reading device throughout the repair, making sure you've covered every angle. So after using my slide hammer, I'm now going to switch to the Kiko Robo Lifter. I've got one of the dead center tabs. I've got it lined up along a low crease that's running through this dent. Now if you look at those lines in the reflection, you can really see how well this pulls up the metal. So now let's take a quick look at our progress so far. Where those reflected lines pull apart shows me that it's still low, and where they pinch together shows me that it's still high. So this is very much that back and forth process of tapping down highs, lifting lows. Now when I need a little bit more precision, that's when you'll see me switch to a root beer tap down. I can really get some pinpoint accuracy, hitting some of these high spots, releasing some of that tension. Now that the panel is starting to look fairly flat, fairly true, there's a few little highs and a few little lows, but I'm going to try and blend out the majority of this repair area. And now I'm using the Shane Jacks blending hammer. This is the short version. And you can see me in my left hand, I've got my lightweight lined reflector board as opposed to my lamp, and I'm just moving it up and down, left and right, really going through those angles as I blend down at the same time. When I spot a low, I can then switch, put a small tab on it, pull up the low, and then continue back to my tap down and blending process. Now again, it's all about assessing those angles. So right now I am standing on a step, one of my platforms, and I'm looking down at the repair. Previously, throughout this repair, I've been on the ground and I'm looking up. But this now gives me another position to be able to check the repair area. And again, you can see me moving around with my reflector board and the hammer, really making sure I can see exactly what it is that I'm doing and identifying the different areas of tension, highs and lows. Now if you remember earlier on in the video I said I spent more time tapping down than I did lifting or pulling the dents. So this blending process was probably about 45 minutes in total. But of course I've sped that up to give you a better idea as my working position and exactly what it is that I'm doing and what I'm looking for. Carrying out paintless dent removal does require a lot of skill, and if you're just starting to learn the process it takes a lot of time and a lot of patience and a lot of practice. But you don't need to struggle alone. I'm here to help you get started in the PDR industry, so you can reach out to me anytime at learnpdronline.com, my dedicated training site teaching you everything you need to know to get started in the paintless dent removal industry. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. As always, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next time.